everyone, it is I, Dalek aka Mark. Every day is usually a special day, a national day for something. A day for an animal, or a food, or an activity, or a film or a TV series, etc, etc. Now I did a bit of research online for 30th of September. That day is Mudpack Day, Translation Day, Podcast Day, and Extra Olive Oil Day. Ugh. But for some reason I couldn't find Thunderbirds Day, and last year the first official Thunderbirds Day was announced by ITV. So that's what this video is about, with some interviews I've done at the National Space Centre in Leicester, my hometown. I'm going to give you guys 5 reasons why we should celebrate Thunderbirds Day. For those of you who don't know what Thunderbirds is, A, where have you been? And B, go and do some research before you watch the rest of this video. For those of you who do know what Thunderbirds is, let's start the countdown. Thunderbirds was created by the late Gerry Anderson. He also created other sci-fi shows such as Stingray, Captain Scarlet, UFO and Space 1999. Some of these shows were suitable for the whole family, some were quite dark for children. But all these shows had one thing in common. They were about organisations, whether they were civil or military, with one purpose: to help other people. Whether it was to protect innocent people from natural disasters and terrorist attacks, or if it was to develop new technology that could improve people's lives. But of course, Thunderbirds and the Anderson shows have other things in common.
I think generally it's a great spirit of adventure. There's always these characters that are like out to do the right thing. They're out to save the day. They're out to like help people who are in trouble. And generally they're just fun, exciting, and a great piece of escapism.
Well, I think the hallmark of Anderson shows in common with each other, especially Thunderbirds, is that they're exciting, there's full of action, the stories are solid, and the music is incredibly memorable. And the fact that this isn't common just to Thunderbirds but to all the series is something that is a hallmark of a Gerry Anderson series in general.
I think all the Gerry Anderson shows are just tremendous high adventure with great characters, great special effects, and great merchandising and great music. Just entertainment at its very, very highest quality.
They're really exciting and extremely well made, and they have fantastic storylines. Literally the list does go on. I could be here for hours telling you how brilliant they are.
In 1963 there was a mining disaster in Germany. Many miners were killed and injured, and a desperate rescue attempt was being made to help those that were trapped. This is what inspired Gerry to create Thunderbirds, and thanks to Thunderbirds, it's inspired many people to get involved in various areas. Some people have been inspired to become pilots, astronauts, aquanauts, members of rescue organisations. The list is endless.
Thunderbirds is an inspirational series for many reasons. I know of several people that have been inspired to become scientists, engineers, working in the aerospace industry. I think for me personally, Thunderbirds would be inspiring to bring me towards a sort of a creative side of things. So watching the actual series themselves got me into filmmaking as a whole because of the intricacies and the production values and so forth. So I really became very interested in filmmaking and making videos and writing for things from watching the series, and I think that's really where that all came from.
Well, I suppose, very loosely, I've gone into astronomy and data science, and there's definitely a lot of science is celebrated in a lot of Anderson shows.
As a kid, it always gave me a nice incentive to do better.
It's just as long as it inspires anyone who wanted to do something for filmmaking, then it's worth trying, really.
Every year, the number of Thunderbird fans increases as a new generation takes an interest in the series. Now this is done by 2 techniques. The first technique is via the remakes. After watching the live-action movie or the CGI series, the viewers may want to watch the classic series. And if they have that sense of nostalgia, then they may prefer the classic series. The second technique works via families. Mums and dads, even grandparents can show children what they used to watch when they were kids. And if the children like what they see, then the TV series or the film has a new fan. But what is it about Thunderbirds that introduces a new generation of fans?
What the old series has got, which the new one doesn't have, it's about just a little bit more than twice as long. It's got a tremendous amount of time to build up a Hitchcockian suspense as the authorities try to put right what's gone wrong and get themselves in a worse state. I think that is the magic of the old series, and the fact that it's been shown countless times and brought in new generations of fans. Again, we think of the CGI version. I think there's plenty of room for both versions.
No matter how many times you watch it, often you'll see something new if you watch it again that you haven't noticed before, which is just mind-boggling.
Imagine if you were born in the 90s, then you'd see it on the television in BBC and some videotapes by Polygram. But if you're from the new millennium, then there'd be the rebroadcasts on BBC and Carlton video into DVDs and vice versa. It's worth it to bring older new fans to see what Thunderbirds and other Jerry Anderson shows are like, just to be entertained and have some fun.
Because of the rather unique way it was filmed, it doesn't date as well as, say, other shows. So the special effects don't time out, because at the end of the day the characters are special effects too. And that's why Thunderbirds has been able to come back every so often, because it looks as new in the 90s as it did back in the 60s.
I think it's the detail that's put into Thunderbirds. So if you think about the models, they're weathered. They're not just pristine and new, they're weathered. Also the stories, there's quite a lot of peril. If you don't get it right, the characters are going to die. So I think they're engaging stories as well.
When you look at TV shows like Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, there's always death and destruction in them. Whereas when you look at a show like Doctor Who or Star Trek, those are shows that have a positive message that should be celebrated. And that's what Thunderbirds has, a positive message. And that message is hope. The world has been through many disasters and tragic events. In fact, some are very similar to the situations you see in Thunderbirds. And thanks to Thunderbirds, it shows us just how important hope is. Without it, we'd be living in a world of fear and sadness.
I would certainly agree with that. It's a very positive message. I mean, you can't get more positive than saving lives, risking your own life to save other people and generally trying to make the world a better place. And at its core, I've always maintained that Thunderbirds is a show about family, and that's really the greatest story that can be told. A story about family caring for each other, caring for other people, and helping people when they need it most. It's a very powerful message. It's a very positive message, and it's one that I'm very glad that Jerry Anderson and his team decided to put out there to share with the world.
As this is a millionaire who's using his money to help other people, and also, I suppose, teamwork. It's a team of brothers and other people all working together to help people, and also being selfless when helping people.
I would say that it's just it has a glossy show. People do die in the series, but it has a very sort of quite a glossy element of life. Shows life in a good positive way. I also think we've had all this stuff over the years saying that television, watching lots of violence and stuff can affect children, and I think there may very much be some truth in all of that, but why can't we take it the other way and say that if you watch really good shows like Jerry and Sylvia's, which had morals and good characters and good was good and evil was evil, why can't you say that makes us into better people? It makes as much sense as going the other way.
If you saw a list of the best TV shows made in Britain, I'm sure you'll find Thunderbirds on the list. Personally, I think it should be at the top. It plays a vital part in British television history. Don't believe me? Ask the fans.
He plays a massive part in our history. Some of the groundbreaking special effects that were started making that and the other Gerry Anderson shows, and then all the people went on to do massive things in the industry afterwards. It's an incredibly important part of television.
I think it plays a massive part, and it should definitely be recognised a lot more than it is. Anderson, there's so many things now that puppetry and other things use which has originated from Anderson shows, and yeah, I definitely think that it needs a bigger profile than it has currently.
I think particularly in the sci-fi aspect, it's always this kind of ongoing, it's at the very start in many ways, like a lot of people that went on to create some of the most influential things today started on Thunderbirds, and a lot of ideas and concepts that are kind of like fairly normal and commonplace today start on Thunderbirds. So I think more in a way it's kind of like the inspiration at the start of British history, where like we were still working all this stuff out, and you had all these pioneers doing these brand new things, and they ended up creating the building blocks for what we do now.
I think that Thunderbirds is sadly overlooked in the just the general whole of the British television history. It's unlike anything before or since. The team at Slough back in England, they're just fantastic. What they've done, what they've achieved. Technically, they've raised the bar for anything that has come since, and they've developed many techniques that are still used as commonplace today. Things like video assist systems, where you can actually see what's happening in another part of the studio via a television monitor setup. Pioneering techniques that, without those sort of things, the film industry, literally, it's not too far to say that it may not be as far along as it is today. They also invented things like the rolling sky and the rolling road backdrops to indicate movement even while the object in front of the camera is stationary. It looks like it's moving. So that sort of thing, those sort of contributions to British television history cannot be overlooked, and it's just such a wonderful thing that all of those series still exist, unlike other British television series that are sadly now no longer held in the archives.
It just goes to show that they're not just made with the ordinary puppets using strings and stuff like that, but on a much further level with so much explosions and amazing special effects and so much craftsmanship on the model making as well. It's what makes it all unique for any generation to see it on television or DVD or vice versa.
It plays a very big part, and considering all of the techniques that Gerry and Sylvia and the team made while making the series, which is both still being used today and looked upon with extremely fond memories from many fans and professional people in the business of television and film. I think it has dramatically affected TV in the UK these days.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Thunderbirds Day should be recognised and celebrated. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and found it useful. Big thank you to those people who let me interview them. If you've enjoyed it, do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget, if you're new to my channel, to subscribe and check out all my other videos, and hit the bell icon for notifications. Also, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget, hashtag Thunderbirds Day on the 30th of September. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Dalek Shram out.